Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ronnie with Miss Ronnie Rides, and thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that when I upload a video, you will be notified. And yes, I'm in my car riding. Don't say nothing, but I'm gonna start doing something a little different than being in my car, y'all. So y'all stay tuned for that. Anyway, let's get into it. Because we ain't got time. We ain't got all day, baby. It's Friday. So we ain't got all day. So let's get into it. So, what I want to talk about is marriages. Why marriages do not last. Okay? Why don't marriages last? Right? How is it that somebody, a man and woman, can be together 5, 6, 7 years, living together, shacking up 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years, and then, shacking up, living in sin, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, some of them 10 years, child, and then get married, and 2 years later they divorce. Make it make sense. How did y'all manage to stay together 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years living in sin, shacked up, and as soon as y'all get married, most of them barely last 2 or 3 years, and then they're divorcing? Why is that? Make it make sense. I'm going to tell you why. Excuse me, y'all. Clear my throat. I'm going to tell you why. It's because when people are living in sin, Satan already has them. He doesn't have to do anything to disrupt their lives. They already living in sin. He already has them where he wants them. Okay? But a marriage between a man and a woman, it's a covenant. It's a covenant. The covenant is what he's after. Why? Because it's the only thing on earth that God ordained himself and puts himself right in the middle of. Especially when you're saved. Especially when you're born again. It is the only thing on earth that God gets in the midst of is a man and a wife, and a man and a woman, a marriage between a man and a woman. When they're unsaved and shacking up, they last for years. But as soon as they get married, it's like blinders fall off. Why? Y'all start have problems in your relationship. Why? Because Satan hates marriage. He hates it. Right? It's because the Bible says when God, and all marriages are not God. Let's just put that out. All marriages are not God. It's because when you get married, and you getting out of sin, the more likely thing that's next is somebody gonna get saved in the marriage. He hates marriage. Somebody gonna end up going to church. Somebody gonna end up getting saved in the marriage. And so that's why he comes for the marriage. It's like when you get married. It's like when you get married. It's almost like you gain an instant enemy. You gain an instant enemy. Satan he's already your enemy, but he doesn't have to do too much to you because you're already living in sin. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So the Bible says that if you get married, when you get married, you will have trouble in the flesh. What is that trouble in the flesh? Two people becoming one. Two people that are used to making their own decisions, that are used to not having to answer to nobody, that is used to doing what they want, that's used to really not having no accountability to anybody, even if you're living together. Even if you're living together, it's really not a conscience accountability. But as soon as you get married, it's like the blinders fall off, right? And now the trouble in the flesh begins, right? The trouble in the flesh begins. Now all the cute little things that he used to do or she used to do, it's not cute anymore. Like if you was mad at him, say a woman was mad at her husband or boyfriend or whatever, and she fussing at him, and he'll say something like, "Oh girl, you know I love you," and she laugh it out. I ain't playing with you. And she laughed out. It's not a big deal because he didn't soothe her. He talked her down off the ledge, right? But when you get married, the trouble in the flesh begins. And now that thing that he used to do that used to make you mad and when how he handled it before, blowing you off in his cute little way, and you chuckling it off, now it ain't cute no more. It's not cute no more, and it ain't funny no more, and I'm not playing, I'm serious. It's like you automatically gain an enemy to the marriage. So if getting married doesn't create the foundation, what creates the foundation of the marriage? Whether this person is it for you or not. This person is it for you. That's what creates that's the foundation of marriage. I love this man. I love this woman. You remember that? Y'all ever seen that movie? Y'all ever seen that movie, Two Can Play That Game? With Vivica Fox and Morris Chestnut? If you haven't, look it up. It's called Two Can Play the Game. It's an old movie. And she shows up at his workplace, and it's one of those movies where the camera follows you around, and she shows up at his workplace, and they close the office door and do, and then afterwards, his co-worker and his friend Anthony Anderson, y'all already know he's a fool, comes in and go, "What's that smell in here?" and Morris Chestnut character goes, "Man, ain't nothing that you could ever say or do to make me leave that woman." Right? So what is the foundation of the marriage? It's that this person is it for you, and there's nothing that this is, you found your person, and that you don't want to be with nobody else, and this is who you want to spend the rest of your life with. This is it for me. And it's when a man makes that decision, It's when a man makes that decision, the marriage, the relationship pretty much can survive. It's pretty much a sealed deal with a man, because it's very, very hard for a man to come to that conclusion that this is who I want. I don't want to be with nobody else for the rest of my life. I don't care what we go through. This is my woman. I ain't going nowhere. She is for me, and I'm for her. That's it. That is the foundation that has to be laid for marriage, not marriage itself. Because marriage itself, the Bible says, has its own cares, troubles. It really never says, now it does say, a man that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. It says that, and it says when, men treat your wives right, so that your prayers will not be hindered. So God will hear your prayers. It does say that. But it never says anything about when you get married, there are going to be violins and rainbows and butterflies and, tiptoeing through the tulips and running through waterfalls. And it's just a glorious, wonderful, magnificent thing that takes place. It never says that. Y'all notice that? In the Bible, it never says that. It gives you a warning. It has a warning that if you get married, you will have trouble in the flesh. Don't y'all think that's strange? And then you wonder why y'all got along all these years living in sin, and then as soon as you get married, y'all think things change. Yeah, something changed. The person didn't really change. It's the devil got in it. Obviously, he didn't have to be in it, because y'all, and I know I keep repeating myself, but I'm trying to get y'all to hear by the Spirit and not by your natural ear. He didn't have to do anything. Y'all were already sinning and on your way to hell. You understand? He didn't have to come in and wreak havoc in your life. He already had you. But when you get married, and that's a major thing, to come out of sin and come out of fornication. Why? Because that was the Bible says to give your body a living sacrifice that is holy and acceptable unto the Lord. That is your reasonable service. And your reasonable service is, what that means is, that's the least you can do. If you can't do nothing else, at least stop fornicating. That's the least you can do. If you're doing everything else, God is saying your reasonable service is at least quit fornicating. And that's the hardest thing for us to do. So when you quit fornicating, that's a major thing that you have taken from Satan. You have gotten out of sin. That's a major deal. And then y'all have come under covenant. I'm talking about a man and a woman. We're not talking about homosexual marriage. The devil is in that. God ain't in that at all, period. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's your mama or your daddy, your son married to a man, your daughter married to a, they are going to hell. You understand? If they don't repent and come out of their sin and give their life to Christ and come out of fornication and come out of homosexuality and lesbian, period. But that's another video. Doesn't matter who it is. So that's why it's so hard. That's why it's just strange when you see people shacked up 5, 6, 7, 10 years and then get married and then don't stay married for 2 years and get a divorce. That's strange, ain't it? That's because another level of Satan having access, he's finna take it to another level now. Now he's fighting. He's actively fighting. Where before he was fighting, he didn't really have to fight you. You were already in sin. So now you have to decide, because now you got the covenant on top of, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I love them. This person is for me, and this person. Now your marriage is going to be tested. Relationships in when you just shacked up living together, a lot of times relationships, unless it's over a long period of time, several years, relationships are not really tested like that, where somebody end up getting really sick, the boyfriend or the girlfriend getting sick with cancer, or getting sick, and the other person is having to take care of them. So when you get married, you get you gain an instant enemy to the marriage. So somebody either end up losing their job, y'all gonna be tested, and it's different. I'm telling you, it's different, because I've been on both sides of this coin. I've been shacked up living in sin before, and I've been married 3 times, so I know what I'm talking about. So somebody end up losing their job, or somebody end up getting sick. But when you love, and that's a challenge, and it's funny that it doesn't seem to happen until after you get married, because the enemy comes to test if y'all really meant what y'all said. That's why the enemy comes to test, where before you and the baby mama got along when y'all was just shacking up, but when y'all got married, it became a problem. The lady that does my taxes, she's been doing my taxes for years. So we just associates. Well, not really friends. I think we're associates. I thought she'd never get married. She'd never been married. Always lived with her parents all her life, grown up all through her adult years till her parents died. And they had never been married, never really had a boyfriend, never dated, and all this stuff. She finally met a guy and got married. And all this time, I think they dated probably a year and a half, maybe. I think they dated probably 2 years, about 2.5 years before they got married. They didn't live together because they were supposed to be Christians and stuff. I don't think they lived together. Now, he had a daughter, and the daughter was staying with the mama, right? Now, all the 2.5 years that they've been dating, that girl wasn't living with her daddy. About a month and a half after they got married, the mama sent the daughter to live back over there with the daddy, talking about she can't deal with her no more. And so there's issues there. No, the mama did that on purpose. Now, listen to me. You and the baby mama been getting along all this time. Soon as you and that daddy, the baby daddy, get married, it's an issue between you and the baby mama. All of a sudden, it's a problem. All of a sudden, y'all ain't getting along. All of a sudden, she got an attitude. That's who the devil using. That woman sent that girl over there to live with the daddy. A month and a half after my tax lady got married. She a white woman, the guy's black. You know that woman did that on purpose. She being messy. She wants that girl to get all in the business, tell her what's going on over there in their household. Y'all know she did that on purpose. That's trouble in the flesh. That's trouble. Listen to me. That's trouble in the flesh. You're gonna have issues with kids. Listen to me. In my video, husband number 3, I talk about that. I talk about how I had only met his daughters twice, and Everything was good. We went and looked for wedding dresses and all this kind of stuff. I didn't have no problem with them. I was looking forward to having daughters because my daughter had moved to Wisconsin that November of 2015. I met my husband number 3 December of 2015. We got married in February. I think February. March. We got married in March. Met his daughters twice on 2 different occasions. Was looking forward to having daughters because my only daughter was gone. Met them twice. I'm telling you. As soon as we got married, they started hating me from the jump. Well, I years later in the marriage, found out that the day of our wedding, the mama, my ex-husband's ex-wife, called my sister-in-law, because my sister-in-law was a ordained minister. She's the one that married us. Called her crying. Talk about, I can't believe that he did it. I can't believe that he really got married and stuff. So from that point on, the daughters resented me and hated me. I had no idea till years later. I didn't understand why they was cussing me out and talking to me crazy, and how it went from us going to look at wedding dresses to that. I had no idea. We hate you. Go listen to video husband number 3. And it tells you how they treated me. I couldn't understand why. Until years later in the marriage. What was that? Trouble in the flesh. But because there was no love between me and him, we didn't love each other. He pressured me into getting married. And he married me for his own nefarious reasons. And go listen to the video. It tells you everything. So we already didn't have the foundation of, I love this person, I'm in love with this person, I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. This is my person. I don't care what we do. Ain't nothing this man can do to make me ever lead this man, or vice versa, lead this woman. We didn't have none of that. So when the trouble in the flesh came, we had no foundation. We had no foundation to fall back on to get us through the trouble in the flesh. We didn't have that. Man, I love this nigga. I don't care what we going through. We about to work it out. Because I love that nigga. I ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. She ain't going. We didn't have that. So when the trouble in the flesh came, it tore the marriage up. Because there wasn't a marriage based on anything from the beginning. So I'm telling you, marriage is not a joke. This is why, and another reason why marriages fail is because people are so busy. Y'all hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe. While I'm thinking about it, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up. Another reason why marriages fail is because people are so busy planning the wedding that they never plan the marriage. They never plan the marriage. People are so, y'all understand what I'm saying? People are so busy planning the wedding that they never stop to give time to plan the marriage. Marriage has to be planned. But what you mean? How you plan a marriage? Just like you plan a wedding. What kind of relationship you want with your spouse? How do you, what's your thoughts on finances? What's your thoughts on money? How do you view money? These are the things that y'all supposed to be talking about on your dates. Your dates is not It's more. It's your dates are more are supposed to be more than finding your favorite place to eat or finding some fun to do. Your dates are actually supposed to be, or it's time that you're supposed to be getting to know one another. Not superficial things. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite meal? What's your favorite thing to do? So you're planning fun stuff, and that's fine, but you have to talk. You have to communicate. When my best friend whose husband worships the ground she walks on, literally, when they got ready to get married, they went in, because the church I used to go to, and any good church will do this. Any good pastor that's worth his weight in gold will require this before marriage, right? Marriage counseling, premarital counseling. What they did was they had them fill, and I went through this with my second husband. They had them fill this questionnaire out, and then apart separately. They were not to do it together. They were to do it separately, and they were not to discuss it. And then they would have to turn those in to the pastors, and my former pastor and his wife would go over there and pick out the areas where they were going to have problems in. And my best friend say, by the time the pastors got through talking to them about the things that they were going to have conflict in the marriage, because they saw it two different ways, because apparently they never discussed this stuff. She said they didn't want to get married. They didn't want to get married. They did get married, but she said they didn't even want to get married. Because what they did was they tore down the fantasy of marriage and brought them into the reality of marriage. And that's where people go wrong. They have a fantasy of what marriage is going to look like. And when that fantasy does not play out, and the reality of what real marriage is begin to unfold, and the trouble in the flesh that the marriage begins to play out in the marriage, when that begins to happen, then they want to call it quits. They want to call it quits. Because they were too busy planning the wedding instead of planning the marriage. They had the marriage all fantasized out in their head, but you don't understand. We can create whatever kind of relationship we want in our head, because we control the narrative. We control the pieces on the board. He's gonna do this, and this is how I'm gonna respond, and this is how he's gonna respond when I respond this way, or I'm gonna do this, and this is how he's gonna respond, and this is how it's all gonna work. You are moving the pieces around the stage of how each person is going to react. And when it doesn't play out like that in real life, oh, that person changed. Oh, you're not the person I thought you were. No, you're correct. They are not the person you thought they were. You are not the person you thought you were. Why? Because you thought. It was all in your head. And you controlled the narrative in your head. You thought when you ran in the room crying and fell across the bed, talking about he don't love me, you don't love me. You thought he was going to run in there behind you, going, baby, I'm sorry. Why? Because that's how you place the players and the parts. That's how you lay the parts out in your head. That I'm going to go in there and I'm going to fall out and he going to run in there, coming after me. And then when that doesn't play out, then that person changed, or you not what I thought you were. That's the problem. It was all a thought. It was all in your head. Y'all never said, all of them dates y'all went on, y'all never sat down to say, well, what's your view on God? How do you view God? What's your thoughts on the Bible? You didn't know he was just spiritual. Well, you know, I ain't perfect, but you know, I don't really believe in church like that. But I go with you, but you know, I may not go all the time. But I may go with you, but I ain't really big on church like that. Because there's a lot of hypocrites in church. You thought that he was going to be going to church with you once y'all got married. You never knew that he didn't really believe in church. You never knew that he didn't really believe in the Bible. Why? Because y'all too busy bowling and kicking and caught up in the emotional part of the dating that you don't want to spoil the fantasy by talking, the superficial fantasy, by talking about real life issues that are going to come up, and that come up in real life marriages and relationships. You never knew that if you got sick, he may not stay with you. Because he may not be able to, I don't know, man. I mean, it depends. You know, I ain't never thought about that. He ain't never thought about that because men ain't detailed like that. We the one fantasize that we gonna be on our sick bed and he gonna be there patting our forehead and holding our hand. We think about that. Y'all never talked about it because you just assumed that he would because he love you. Or he say he love you, or she love you. We never thought about that. Y'all never had a conversation. You never had a conversation and sat down to say, you know, how would you handle it? You know, how would that make you feel if I was in a car wreck one day? They called you from the hospital and said I was in a car wreck and I'm going to be paralyzed from the waist down. Would you be able to stay? Honestly, would you be able to stay with me? What if I was paralyzed from the waist down? I couldn't have sex no more. What if I was in a car? What if I was in an accident where my face went through the windshield and my face was cut up, and it changed my looks forever? Would you still be able to love me? Would you still be attracted to me? Y'all never had those conversations. Why? Because you don't want to interfere with the fantasy that you have in your head that what marriage is going to look like. Listen to me. That is the only place that marriage is like that. Is in your mind. That's the only place it is in your mind. Guys, hopefully I have some guys as subscribers. You never thought about she a freak now. But what happens if I've turned 40 and it's some 40 years old that start having erectile dysfunction, and I can't get it up no more? Will she be able to stay faithful to me? Will she be able to stay loyal to me? Oh, they got Viagra, they got stuff. Yeah, but that don't happen. That don't work for everybody. My third husband was on Cialis. It didn't work for him because he was on high blood pressure, feeling high blood pressure. And he was on that blood thinner. I can't remember the blood thinner. Well, you know, it takes thick blood, circulating blood, to get a hard on, to get an erection. So he was on Cialis, and he was on the blood thinner and high blood pressure. So he could get it up by 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes. That was it. You ever thought about what she gonna do if you can't perform? If you can't perform, I'm sorry, if you can't perform, you ever thought about talking to her? You ever thought about talking about her about that? No, because y'all too busy having fun and dating and going to the water park. You're not having serious conversations on these dates. And you're not being honest. You're not planning the marriage. What about money? You thought about money? You just automatically assume that he will want to pay all the bills? What if he's the type of man that wants you to go 50-50? Have y'all talked about finances? And what's your take on bills? Do you feel like a woman should contribute? Or if you do, how much should she contribute? Have you thought about, do we pool our money together? Do we keep separate? Have y'all talked about that? See, this is why marriages fail. Because you think people done change when they get married. They ain't changed. You just never thought of it. Y'all never talked about these things. Y'all was too busy dating and having fun when you're supposed to be, the dating part of is more than just having fun. It's getting to know one another. What is your take on these things? Why? Because these are the troubles in the flesh that the Bible talks about. What happens if one of the kids want to move back home? What if y'all are my age? What if y'all are my age and y'all got grown kids? Have y'all talked about how y'all gonna handle it if one of y'all kids want to move back home? What if you don't want his kids moving back home? What if you don't want her kids moving back home? Have y'all talked about that? Have y'all thought about that? Then it's a problem when one of the kids want to move back home. Then y'all got a problem in y'all marriage. Stop planning weddings and start planning marriages. Stop getting caught up. Oh, I'm engaged. I'm getting married. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You're going to go from, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, to, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what have I done? Oh my God, Lord, I did not know it was going to be like, you're going to go from one extreme of oh my God, to the other extreme of oh my God. I'm telling you, I know I done been married 3 times. Twice in the Lord. The first one don't count because I wasn't Christian. Twice in the Lord. I'm telling you, you were too busy planning the weddings instead of planning your marriage, ladies. And we're the communicators. You cannot wait for a man to bring this stuff up. And you cannot assume. Women are more detail oriented. So we are the ones that have to make a list and start these. Don't give them all the questions. You want to have some fun on your date, but you want to have that time on your date where you have serious conversations about this stuff. And do not ignore the things that they're saying because you want to hold on to the fantasy. And let me explain something to you. Do not think for one moment that marriage is going to change that person's mind. Because let me tell you one thing that marriage does. Whatever the person is before, marriage just makes them more of it. So if they weren't romantic in the beginning, they weren't romantic then you was always having the one you was always the one having to plan the dates and plan the romantic outings and plan everything and plan the weekend. If you was always one, it's because he ain't got a romantic bone in his body. And he's probably a homebody. Marriage is not going to change that. Why? Because when we get married, we get comfortable. Especially a man. And they figure that was the goal. Marriage was the goal. Marriage is not the goal. Marriage is not the goal. Doing whatever you can to buffet your body, like the Bible says. Compromise, communicate, and work things out. That's the goal of marriage. And staying together. That's the goal of marriage. And if you don't do those things, the goal of staying together, you're not going to reach that goal. If both of y'all are not communicating, being honest, willing to compromise, willing to lay your pride down. The goal is to stay married. Y'all gonna reach that goal. You're not gonna reach that goal. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. I've been married 3 times, twice in the Lord. I'm telling y'all, if anybody should know, I should know. I'm telling you. So stop planning weddings. Start planning marriages. Stop planning weddings. Start planning marriages. When you're going out on dates, stop focusing so much on having fun and start having real talks, real conversations, and real communication. You want to know what this man is thinking. You want to know how he views things. You want to know where you would stand in his life. Are his children his whole world? You don't want nobody is their whole world. I want a man that love his kids and care about his kids. But if your kid's your whole world, where am I gonna fit in? That mean to me, if your kid's your whole world, that mean you ain't gonna be able to put me before your kids. I'm talking about grown kids. I ain't talking about babies, kids. I'm talking about grown folks. You don't want a man that his kids are his whole world, or his family is his whole world. Because, and please don't be the type of woman. Yes, we know that a man leaves his wife and a woman leaves her family and cleaves her husband and all of that. We know that they leave their families and cleave to one another. That does not mean that he has to throw his family away. It doesn't mean that he has to throw his mama away. Because let me tell you something, it's true. If you want to know how a man's going to treat you and respect you, and just look at the relationship with his mom. That's true. That's true. That is true. Unless she was just a deadbeat, it's still true. Let that man love his mama and care about his mama and take, because if you always interfere with that, he's going to resent you. And the way he treat his mama, that's how you want him to treat you. If he good to his mama, let him be good to his mama, because if he good to his mama, he going to be good to you. I'm telling you. So stop planning weddings and start planning conversations. Start planning marriages. Okay? Thank y'all so much for listening. I got a new flavor of gourmet popcorn. This is not on the website yet. It's the cookie butter made with the Biscoff cookies and the Biscoff cookie butters. So I'll put the link for the popcorn in the description box. That flavor is not on it yet. I haven't had time to upload it, but I've been selling out of it. So like the channel, like the video, give me a thumbs up. It pushes it through the algorithm so it'll appear on more people's page, y'all. That's the quickest way to blow up. And share the video. Share the video and say, y'all, check this out. Share the video with your friends. Okay, help me get more views and get more subscribers, okay? That doesn't cost you anything. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for listening. This is Miss Ronnie Rides. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell for our next video. Thank you, and God bless you. Start planning weddings. Start planning marriages. Stop planning weddings. Start planning marriages. All right? That's how that's why it's so many divorces. Because people are planning weddings instead of planning marriages. Thank y'all so much. God bless you.